Imagine a social network built for you, not for profit. Imogen Network puts control back in your hands, combining AI-driven personalization with blockchain-backed ownership. Your data, your content, your rules. Create stunning content, build genuine connections, and monetize your work, all in a decentralized, transparent platform where privacy is prioritized. Ready to experience social networking reimagined? Join Imogen.network today and take control of your digital world. Imogen Network, empowering connections, redefining ownership.
How did things change when they hit the scene as far as in hip hop and in the black communities? And would you blame them for the birth of gangster rap and contributing to the destruction of the black community along with the government with crack?
So much so that I threw Easy E off stage at a concert in Compton. So we had a Stop the Violence concert at
Mhm.
Compton College when my mom was a city council president, and it was her idea to make a youth board, and that youth board would choose the artists that were going to perform at this all day concert at Compton. And this is when self destruction, you're headed for self destruction, and all those records were out. And so we did a Stop the Violence. The Crips and Bloods had a ceasefire, and I was the president of this committee. And so I chose Big Daddy Kane. I brought Tribe Called Quest for the very first time to the West Coast. KRS-One was our headliner, and everybody that you can imagine in between from that era was on this slate. And WA agreed to do it. We said that you could not degrade women in your songs and that you couldn't use profanity. So you had to do clean versions of these records. And everybody agreed to this. And WA hits the stage and, and goes right in, disrespectful, right in, cussing. There's police everywhere. F the police and all that. And WA was being in WA. So I'm 18, 19 at the time, and this is my show. So I cut the sound and threw them off. Went on stage, the crowd was booing. And I talked to the crowd and I told them that we came here to celebrate hip hop, not degrade hip hop. And that's what we're going to do today. And so we let NWA back on stage. They were fighting in the backstage, and the police were there and everything. And so we let them back on stage underneath the agreement that they wouldn't use profanity. So the answer is yes. I think that NWA destroyed hip hop, and not just NWA the group or their music, but NWA as a concept and as a theory of the mindset. Yes, the ideology that NWA not only could exist, but that they should exist. You didn't have guys in New York City talking about selling drugs before NWA. You didn't have this look of gangsterism on the street and the braggadociousness that we have even to this day about working against the law. You didn't have that. Hip hop was full of street reporters.
Mm.
They were reporting the condition not just of their street, but of the streets of America overall. They were reporting the condition of the government. When Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash and those guys made White Lines, that was talking about the condition of America. It wasn't just talking about the condition of Black America. And so when the WA came, they said, I'll do this to you, right? I'll put this gun in your mouth. I'll shoot this female. I'll do these things to you. And so they lied to you because none of them were doing any of that. Nobody in the NWA was a gangster. None of them were gangsters. Easy E was not a big time drug dealer. He was a low level drug dealer, corner boy. He was not they tried to make him seem like he was this big. Easy E was absolutely not a big time drug dealer. And so we knew this in Compton. And so we're watching this from the sidelines. We're watching the world start to pay attention to this. But the ideal was that Compton should be uplifted, and it was being torn down, and it was at the forefront of this new hip hop. What was hip hop was at the forefront of this movement of violence. And so yes, I think at the same time you have the government and the Reaganomics, the Reagan years, ushering in drugs into the African American community in this concerted effort to remove you guys, to remove me, to remove my father from our homes. And that effort was successful. And that is why we have the young thugs that we have today.
Mm.
That's why we have these kids today. They are the offspring of crackheads and crack dealers.
You know, during
These are their children.
during that time, right, it was kind of like this transition, because it went from like hip hop being this, like you said, it was street reporters, there were artists articulating what was going on in their communities, and then NWA came, and it was almost like being gangster, being violent, being this other side of being black was more popularized, and you had people like Miss C. Dolores Tucker, who was speaking out against it, and she received a lot of backlash for it. And then it was almost like this divide. It was like either you're this kind of black or you're that kind of black. Did you ever receive that kind of backlash when you were kind of standing up against, hey, no, we can't play this nonsense in our community. We can't put this kind of stuff out into our atmosphere. We cannot represent ourselves this way. When you really started speaking out against it, did you kind of receive any backlash when you started doing that?
Yeah, I'll say it as clearly as I possibly can. Niggas will nig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Niggas gon' nig. Period. If I meet the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan today, he's gonna call me nigga, right?
Yes, sir.
That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. I'm not mad. The question is, what am I gonna do? He's doing what he's supposed to do. The question is, what am I supposed to do? Well, doesn't the same thing pertain to black people when they choose that side, when they choose the Nick side? The same thing is there. When we held a press conference with KRS-One, and they asked him about NWA and Ice-T, and he said, I exist because they exist. And so they're going to do what they're supposed to do. Even to this day, I know I'm listening to both of you articulate, and I know that there are times when you guys are in certain circles and you articulate in the way that you do. If you don't code switch, because we do that when we're around our people, we code switch. But if you don't, if you guys are speaking the way that you're speaking to me now as just intellectual men, they say you're talking white.
Hmm.
You're speaking white. Why are you talking like that? Why are you speaking like, right? Because we're supposed to, our blackness is supposed to come with unintelligence. And so that's exactly what I heard. Oh man, he's trying to be white. Oh, he's trying to be this. They wanted me, and still to this day, want me to dumb myself down because it makes them feel more comfortable. And that is the nature of the world, is to make those who have chosen a lower path feel comfortable on their path. And the easiest way for them to feel comfortable is for you to join them.
Hmm.
So yes, that's exactly what the African American community did. We joined them. We joined them. The government said, we want you to be low. And we said, okay, well, you haven't given us anything anyway. The Democrats, the Democratic way, right? The Democratic Party way was to latch onto the government, and whatever they provide is what you accept. So that's what we did in the 80s.